guys, this is Comic Uno, and today I'm doing a review for Teen Wolf episode 8, I think, season 3, and this is called Visionary. Yeah, I think this is an episode we've all really been waiting for. We've been hearing so many things from Jeff Davis, from, the cast, that this is a big episode. We learn a lot of things. And that doesn't disappoint. We learn a lot about Derek, who's been a mysterious character ever since episode 1, when he showed up in the pilot. I feel like we don't really know his backstory. You don't really know why he's so grim. And you knew his family died and everything, but you really didn't know why he's so grim. And in this episode, we find out why he was so grim. But we also find out stuff for the main story arc, like how DarkAvengerINC became blind. It was Allison's grandfather's fault, of course. You never could trust him since last season. But that was cool to see two really different narratives telling maybe not the whole truth, but some of a truth. Because I think Styles brings a point in this episode that could definitely be true. Depending on who's narrating a story, that's their point of view, so some of it might not be the truth. Now, the people that are narrating the story is Peter and Allison's grandfather. So maybe some of it's not true, especially with Peter. You can never trust Peter and Allison's grandfather. So we don't really know what is true until we actually get to the main source. And then Styles like, maybe I should ask Derek. So I think points of it is true, where we get to see Derek's first love did die, and that made Derek very cold. And I think that love story, in my opinion, was really, really well told, and made you feel even more for Derek. Who knew you could feel even more for Derek, because we always feel for him. But yeah, you get to feel more for Derek and his past self. And I think the actors who played both the younger versions did a great job to make us feel for these characters that felt like different characters, really. They looked different. We got to see young Peter Hale, which we haven't seen since last Crazy Lydia season. So that was cool to see that he actually looked like young Peter Hale from season 2. But yeah, going back to it, I think it was cool that we got to see this love story that was different from the Allison and Scott love story and all these other love stories. And I thought it was really well told in this episode and made you really feel for these two characters. So in this ending, again, this spoiler alert, when Derek's first love does die, you really feel for these characters. And I think you're feeling even more for Derek because of that. So I thought that was really well told. The DarkAvengerINC stuff we learn a little bit more about, like, who he is and really why he has such a vendetta against people, and really it's Gerard's fault. I mean, seriously, he was actually coming to make a truce with Gerard and he screws him. So now DarkAvengerINC just has more fuel to the fire, and you could get to see where the Alpha Pack is being formed, which was really cool to see. So I did enjoy that. And also, a big point of this episode was we learn a little bit about the veterinarian and see why he's so close to Scott and why he does all these things. And we also learn about the veterinarian's sister, who's the counselor. Now, the counselor is actually the druid for DarkAvengerINC, and we learn that's the balance between humanity and the supernatural is the druids. And the veterinarian, I would say, is not with Scott's pack right now, but was with Derek's pack. And the only reason I say that is because I have a theory that Lydia is the druid, and we'll find out in the next episode, because we're supposed to find out exactly what Lydia is in the next episode. But I think Lydia is a forming druid, and this is why all the weirdness is coming in the last season and this season with Lydia. I feel like she's the druid for Scott's pack, which was a theory from last season that Scott's pack could be Allison, Styles, Lydia, and himself. And I think that's a really good theory, that he could be, a true alpha for a human pack, and Lydia could be the druid for their pack. I mean, that's a kind of crazy theory, but one of my theories is that hopefully we find out in the next episode. I know we actually are finally finding out what Lydia is, and I really do think it's that. I think that makes more connections from this episode, which I'm really glad we got those answers that we've really been questioning since season 1. So, one thing that Teen Wolf does do a lot is asks a lot of questions, and a lot of times you don't get the answers right away. But I think Teen Wolf does it in a really good way, and like in this episode proved that. They make us wait, but doesn't feel like, oh, now we're never going to get the questions. I don't even think they know the answers. Or I'm going to bring out a comic book reference, like Morning Glories is an indie book that just keeps giving us questions, but you never even get an answer of that mystery. But with Teen Wolf, you can see they know where they're going with this mystery, and you do get answers. Next episode, we're going to find out more questions that we've been asking. So, like, what is Lydia? So a lot of these questions that have been building up are finally going to be answered. I feel like some of them they do prolong a little, but I feel like they give us enough time to make us really have suspense for it. And then when we finally find out the answer, you felt like, all right, that was worth it. So, and that's how I felt with this episode. It was a lot of answers, and honestly a really well-told story with Derek's origin story. It wasn't boring. I think you weren't really on the edge of your seat because it wasn't anything that crazy that happened. It wasn't cliffhanger-ish. It was more, again, filling in the blanks for our questions, but it definitely had an interesting story where you felt for these characters, and really gave some character development, which we really don't get to see with this show. I feel like they don't base just an episode on one character a lot, and I'm glad they're starting to do that, and I really hope they do that with more characters. I'm hoping this is just a beginning to not just advance plot, but to advance the character arcs also. And just focus on one character, but with other characters showing up, but really just focus on one character. And really two characters here, but really focus on them throughout the whole episode to make us feel even more for these characters. But yeah, that's my opinion. I thought it was a really good episode. I think the hype was definitely good. We learned about the eyes and why they're either blue or they're not, or obviously we knew red for alphas. But I'm glad we learned a little bit about that. We know that Jackson had a really cold past because of it now. Now we know why he had blue eyes instead of the brown yellowish eyes. So I thought that was cool. Definitely, I really enjoyed this episode, and I thought it was really well told and really well written, and I really have no complaints about it. But tell me in the comments below, what did you think? Any theories because of this episode? Because I really think they left a lot of seeds planted in this episode, not just answers for previous questions, but I think for questions that we will have. This is definitely an episode that you want to look back at to get some speculations going. Definitely tell me what you guys think, and this is Comic Uno, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.